Without love, I am unable to experience happiness. How are you feeling at the moment? So far, I'd say I'm satisfied. As far as my friend is concerned, everything moved at a breakneck pace when he was a kid. After only 2 weeks of dating, they proposed to Elon Musk. Because she had witnessed his ambition, drive, and future-oriented outlook, she felt as though she knew him. What followed, though, was a complete surprise to her. Without warning, he texted her one day. They immediately divorced after receiving the icy, cruel message. Neither a word nor an explanation was uttered, and what was most shocking, there was someone else he was already planning to marry. However, that was merely the beginning, a pattern of repeated occurrences, deceit, and hidden children. In reality, what transpired while everyone was gone, we will discover. Aside from expanding the boundaries of artificial intelligence, Elon Musk is well known for his work on rockets and electric car technology. When compared to his businesses, his relationships are completely out of control. There was one woman who knew him better than anyone else before his fame as the wealthiest man in the world spread. His name was associated with a long list of women. She stood by his side when he was ambitious and driven, but she eventually left when she couldn't handle it anymore. But why did she ultimately choose to depart? For good, what transpired that caused them to divorce? If that's the case, then why did she claim she was an extra in her own life? Elon Musk was just another goal-oriented college student who could keep at things for a long time before he became a billionaire, sent automobiles into space, and made headlines for secret children. Musk and Justine Wilson first crossed paths at Queen's University in Canada in the early 1990s. As an English literature major, she was brilliant, self-reliant, and deeply passionate about writing. Though he was still a student of engineering, his enthusiasm for business and technology knew no bounds. Beyond that, he knew that his life had a purpose beyond the ordinary. Their initial encounter was not a case of love at first sight. Actually, it didn't pique Justine's interest. A day came when Musk requested that she go out and get ice cream. She turned down his attempt to ask her out on a date. He returned to her college room at a later time, carrying 2 ice cream cones that were melting rather than leaving immediately. Just like always, Musk was relentless, self-motivated, and would not accept no as an answer. Justine found the act oddly endearing, though it was a bit extreme. It was immediately apparent to her that he was unique. They reunited multiple times over the course of several years. The pursuit of his ambitions drove Musk to become fixated on the next great thing. Even when they were in the same room, he couldn't stop thinking about his future plans, initiatives, and ideas. But for some reason, he managed to capture Justine's interest. People were convinced of his intentions because of his indisputable charisma. They reconciled after Musk moved to Silicon Valley, and in January of 2000, they tied the knot. At first glance, the two ambitious, bright souls appeared to be perfect for each other. The star was rising for Musk. Zip2 and PayPal, his first 2 ventures, were very profitable. In contrast, Justine was hell-bent on succeeding independently in her writing career. However, things started to shift rapidly. Even before they were married, Musk's worldview, which included partnerships, was crystal clear. 3 principles, control, organization, and efficiency, formed the basis of his business decisions. His personal life was no exception, as Justine would discover in due course. He was a results-oriented person who was forthright when things didn't work out. "I am the alpha in this relationship." With those words, he said something simple but terrifying, and she should have sensed something was amiss. That guy wasn't joking. He was telling the truth. Marriage, in his view, was similar to business in that he imagined himself to be at the pinnacle. Justine didn't give it much thought at first. He was overconfident and overthinking things, but she thought he was simply being himself. However, those words started popping up in their lives on a regular basis as time passed. Musk had high hopes that everything would go smoothly. As soon as he made a decision, Justine had to follow his instructions. There wasn't much wiggle space in his certain vision of their future together. She began to feel that she was no longer valued as an equal in their marriage and was instead shaped to conform to his expectations. After that, the awful event occurred. Justine welcomed a son, Nevada Alexander, into the world in 2002. He was born to them first. For a fleeting moment, Musk witnessed their world consumed by joy. Unexpectedly, Nevada passed away from sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, 10 weeks later. It was a sad day for Justine. She lost their child and was so distraught that she lost all ability to think clearly. She was in need of support, solace, and an ear to vent her suffering to. What about Musk, though? Compared to her, he wasn't very sad. He refused to discuss it. Despite her best efforts, he would not allow Justine to express her feelings. It was as if he was avoiding her sentiments by avoiding the topic of conversation. That was the initial major rift in their marriage. While Justine mourned, Musk continued on. His lack of emotional intelligence was more to blame than a lack of concern. He chose to ignore his sadness and immerse himself in work, focusing on Tesla, SpaceX, and the future. Justine finally snapped at it. She began to worry that she was becoming less of an individual in the marriage and more of an object than an equal partner. While in the midst of her most excruciating agony, she had a revelation. She was not alone in her pain. But she remained anyhow. Her best effort was to remain still. In vitro fertilization allowed them to increase their family size, first to twins and later to triplets. On the outside, their lives appeared perfect. As their family expanded and their wealth increased, things were becoming less public for Justine, though, as time passed. Unbeknownst to her, the event that would finally dissolve their marriage was imminent. Something about it would cause it to occur suddenly in the most peculiar way imaginable. You began a family with your husband and went on to have 5 children. You discover he's engaged to someone else and has decided to leave you one morning when you wake up. There was silence, no one gave a damn, and nobody got the chance to find out why. A short text message letting you know that you are out of his plans. What happened to Justine Musk in 2008 remains one of the most cold-blooded, calculated, and brutal ways for a famous person to end a relationship. Elon Musk did it, but for what reason? His wife of nearly a decade was the only one he didn't bring up in their conversation. Before receiving that infamous message, Justine had known for some time that something was wrong, so what finally prompted her to say enough is unclear. In her very own eyes, the man she had married and loved was leaving. To put it bluntly, no. As the forward-thinking head of Tesla and SpaceX, he was more famous than ever before. However, he remained an ethereal presence in their marriage, house, and daily lives. At first, Justine tried to reassure herself that this was a normal part of being married to Elon. She was always aware of his originality of thought and the fact that he was too preoccupied with his future plans to devote much time to anything else. The rapidity with which she would transition from his partner to his subordinate was something she was unprepared for. In retrospect, she would admit that she felt like a bit part in his narrative. She was different from him. Nobody even noticed her. The once warm bond based on common objectives and aspirations had transformed into something commercial, superficial, and emotionless. Suddenly, the final strike arrived. Elon Musk and his wife skipped lunch. His intentions to dissolve their marriage were not discussed face to face. Instead, he informed her of his engagement to someone else in a brief, one-sentence text message. Neither his desire to discuss their future nor his contemplation of leaving were indicated. It was too late for him. Justine was taken by surprise. She had immersed herself in Musk's world for a long time, attempting to be the perfect wife, mother, and guardian of their children, while he was successful. However, she was replaced and removed from his future plans with the ease of removing a single line of code. Who was this woman he had demoted? Actress Tula Riley hails from the UK. Compared to Justine, she is 14 years younger. She first encountered Musk at a London bar, an unlikely meeting spot for someone as reserved and career-focused as him. However, the reasoning behind Tula's admission and Justine's expulsion will remain a mystery to her. Being betrayed was not the only thing that hurt. It was done in that manner previously, like a business decision, a predetermined course of action, or a step taken without considering the impact on individuals. I was replaced like an old piece of software. That's when Justine decided she wasn't going away quietly, as she would later express. Without delay, the divorce proceedings commenced. Unlike many high-profile divorces, this one was messy. Years ago, after Elon and Justine were married, he convinced her to sign a deal, and that was the beginning of the war. At the time, she hadn't really considered it. He reassured her that it was merely an act of civility and not a prenuptial agreement. And what's the point? They would never break up. Now she knew how much money she had wasted on that paper. By 2008, thanks to the sale of PayPal and additional shares in Tesla and SpaceX, Musk's net worth had achieved $100 million. However, Justine was unable to receive what she believed to be her just portion due to the terms of the deal. She wasn't greedy per se, she simply wanted the things she had worked for in her life with Musk. Still, Musk was not about to give up without a fight. The case lasted nearly 2 years and was marked by intense litigation. When Justine signed the contract, her attorneys claimed that Musk lied about the amount of money he had on hand. His alleged lack of candor regarding the extent to which his wealth had increased at the time raised concerns that the transaction may have been unlawful. Nonetheless, Musk persisted. He insisted that Justine was fully aware of the consequences of her actions and had signed the contract willingly. He further stated that the contract ought to be respected. Ultimately, the court ruled in his favor. Despite the deal's legal recognition, Justine only got a fraction of what she had hoped for. Musk was mistaken to assume that meant she had finished fighting. The vast majority of ex-wives of billionaires would have cashed out and gone into seclusion had they been able to do so. For what reason is Justine not considered? For a long time, she remained silent, playing the role of Elon's invisible partner and the good wife. At last, she felt prepared to share her tale. Marie Claire published an open and honest article in which Justine detailed everything. In a marriage where she had believed she was on equal ground, she detailed the gradual erosion of her identity, the distortion of power, and the disregard for her feelings. She detailed how she had never felt financially independent despite being married to a billionaire. She blamed Musk for controlling their finances, assets, and even her ability to leave. The most heartbreaking part was that she had spent years striving to conform to his expectations, only to be abandoned silently. The article shocked many. Many looked up to Elon Musk and thought he was a genius, a visionary, and an unstoppable powerhouse. One of the earliest genuine glimpses into his personal life was this. Behind the scenes, though, Justine presented an entirely different image. Despite his intelligence, she revealed a man who was heartless in his relationships and at work, someone who put logic before emotion, and who had failed at the most fundamental human connection. A glimpse into Elon Musk's marital life was far from what anyone had anticipated. In the end, it was commercial, chilly, and short-lived. What makes that section the most shocking? The leak of details about Musk's private life was far from the last. Based on past events, we knew this was only the beginning of a pattern. In 2010, a little over 2 years after his split with Justine, Musk wed British actor Tula Riley. Riley outlived Musk by 14 years. Strangest of all, he encountered her in a London pub. Due to his shyness and constant preoccupation with work, Musk was never the type to frequent bars. He met Tula that night, though, for some reason. In the span of a few weeks, Musk had her completely captivated. He whisked her away to Hollywood, where he introduced her to his billionaire friends, private planes, and grand schemes to improve the world. When Musk met Tula, it was at a completely different stage in his life than when he met Justine, who had just become a failing business owner. As a young man, he battled to convince investors that his idea would be a success. He had just become one of Silicon Valley's most influential people and a billionaire. He was so absorbed in what he was doing that Tula wanted to be near him. Contrarily, Musk appeared to rediscover in Tula what he had lost with Justine, a new beginning with someone who hadn't grown weary of being around him yet. They tied the knot in 2010. However, after just 2 years, it came to an end. Divorce papers were filed by the Musks in 2012. He couldn't sleep as usual because of his work. He was, as usual, preoccupied with other matters. Tesla was experiencing problems. SpaceX was still attempting to establish itself, and so on. In the same boat as Justine, Tula waited for a man who never materialized. At last, she was unable to do it. However, this is the point at which an unusual trajectory was taken. Just 1 year later, Musk had a change of heart. He made another attempt to communicate with Tula, this time apologizing and inviting her to return. It was her. In 2013, they tied the knot once more. It wasn't entirely unexpected, but it was an odd choice. Musk has expressed his dislike of being alone in comments. Someone once said that he needs a safe haven because he isn't good at handling himself. This wasn't a tale of romance. Concerning safety was the issue. Still, despite getting another shot, nothing changed. All of the problems that led to their initial split surfaced once more. Things that people find annoying about Musk include his inability to show emotion, his relentless work schedule, and his tendency to disappear into his businesses for extended periods of time. It was nothing new to her. In fact, she was experiencing it all over again. It ended permanently in 2016. Tula was unable to return after requesting a divorce. Contrarily, Musk was never single for very long. His second breakup with Tula was with Amber Heard, and he wasted no time moving on to someone entirely new. Furthermore, it was not a mere bounce. Musk had pursued Heard for a considerable amount of time. Amber Heard was reportedly first interested in Musk in 2012, while she was married to Johnny Depp, according to news sources. Reportedly, he wanted to meet her and immediately began texting her, setting up meetings through mutual friends. Not much had transpired up to that point. Musk saw his opportunity, though, following Heard and Depp's public and messy 2016 breakup. His first public appearance with Heard was in Miami, and they subsequently made an appearance in Australia. Their relationship began in earnest at the start of 2017. However, unlike Musk's previous connections, this one was unique. Things were going horribly wrong at the outset, and there were numerous warning signs. Heard, a fiery personality with a history of high-profile court cases, caused an unprecedented level of instability in Musk's life. Although their love was profound, their relationship was fraught with turmoil. They were constantly bickering, broke up, and reconnected multiple times. At the conclusion, Musk was completely devastated. Musk expressed great pain when they officially split up in 2018. When asked about the breakup, he said, "I was really in love and it hurt bad." This was something that a man whose whole life had been built around logic, order, and making sure everything went perfectly couldn't fix. The situation was chaotic, it made him feel bad, and it seemed like Musk was losing ground during the first split. It appeared that Musk stopped dating after Amber Heard. His previous relationships had been based on physical attraction, rank, or security. However, he was about to embark on one of the most peculiar relationships of his life when he met Canadian singer and experimental artist Grimes in 2018. Their bond was immediate but strange. Unlike Musk's previous relationships, their bond was based on technology. Supposedly, they first met online after Musk discovered that Grimes had made a joke about Roko's Basilisk, a niche artificial intelligence thought experiment. Their friendship blossomed from there. The first time anyone saw them together was at the 2018 Met Gala. What did a tech billionaire and an artsy anti-establishment singer have in common? Their shared interest in the future. Hours would pass between Grimes and Musk as they discussed artificial intelligence, space settlement, and the prospect of humans and AI collaborating. For a while, it seemed like Musk had finally found someone who understood him. But that happened again and again, even with Grimes. Their first child, a son named XAEA12 Musk, was born in 2020. The unusual name, a combination of AI references and a tribute to a spy plane, became an instant joke. It demonstrated once again that Musk and Grimes were unconcerned with the opinions of others. However, by 2021, there were already cracks in the name. Musk's focus had reverted to his businesses rather than his personal life. He was rarely home, and Grimes was more of an artist than a tech lover. At first, it seemed like their worlds were perfectly aligned, but then they started to drift apart. They broke up in 2021, but they called it a semi-separation. Grimes said afterwards that living with Musk meant constantly conforming to his work-first world. At first, she liked his intensity, but she started to feel increasingly alone as Musk was busy with Tesla, SpaceX, and his never-ending quest for new ideas. As a result, she raised their son mostly on her own. After Musk's betrayal of Grimes by having a child with another woman without telling her, their unusual relationship came to a quiet end. The script has been revised for clarity and improved spelling. A turn is a move made without considering the impact on others. Justine would later say, "I was replaced like an old piece of software." At that point, she decided she would not go quietly. Right away, the divorce proceedings began, but this was no amicable separation like many high-profile splits. A war had begun years earlier, when Elon had convinced Justine to sign a document after their marriage which he hadn't really considered. He had assured her that it wasn't a prenuptial agreement, but rather a formality meant to show respect. He also assured her that it wouldn't matter because they were never going to divorce. Little did she know then how much that document had cost her. In 2008, after selling PayPal and increasing his shares in Tesla and SpaceX, Musk's net worth had already surpassed $100 million. However, the deal prevented Justine from receiving what she believed to be her fair share. It wasn't that she wanted everything, she simply wanted what she believed she earned from her life with Musk for years. Musk, however, was not going to back down easily. The court case was extremely contentious and lasted for nearly 2 years. Justine's lawyers claimed that Musk lied about his funds when she signed the contract. They argued that he wasn't entirely honest about how much his wealth had grown at the time, which could have rendered the deal illegal. However, Musk refused to budge. In the end, the court found in his favor. The post-wedding deal was recognized as legal, but Justine was left with a small portion of what she had hoped for. Musk was mistaken to think that meant she was done fighting. Most ex-wives of billionaires would have taken their settlement and run away to live out their lives in peace and privacy. He claimed that Justine had signed the contract willingly and that she knew what she was doing. He also said that the contract should be honored.